I'm not hearing anything.
You're not supposed to.
Nothing.
You're not supposed to hear anything yet.
Quiet on set.
Here we go.
From a place called Winnipeg.
Yes. You got the live version. Woo!
I've been talking to these monkeys. I've been working on cars.
All right, guys.
Awesome.
We're back.
How many songs have Mooseman in the lyrics?
It's when Iron Maiden's last record came out and they had the song on Book of Souls and it starts in a world of magma. The guy, my friend Gabe Roth, is like, who else could use the word magma in a song? And we feel the same about Running Back to Saskabush. How else could you use that word unless you were in the Guess Who? But Guess Who's back?
Hey, we're back. Number 7.
Cheers, guys, to everybody here. I like seeing
everybody.
The advancement of everybody's equipment. Ribo's now got a fancy pants mic system set up.
Ribo got blinds.
Well, we're doing it at midnight rather than doing it at 2:00 in the afternoon ski like we were last week or last show. Just to kind of pick up some loose ends, Ribo sent me some amazing doppelgangers and explain this first one with the musician. What did the guy send you? What did he say?
I think someone made a comment on one of our shows that said, does it just me or does Ribo look like Tommy Shaw's drug-riddled twin brother or something like that? Meth addicted.
Drug-riddled. Oh, yeah. Oh, my God. That is Tommy Shaw, isn't it?
Yeah. No, it's not Ribo.
I know, but I thought I see. I thought Tommy Shaw had a brother that was drug-induced or whatever. I thought, okay, you just look like it. I was like, oh, well, I don't know. I think that he has to show the picture of the brother. I get, holy shit. I shouldn't have started drinking before this one.
And then what's the painting, Ribo?
Oh, this is that Renaissance painter that you remember that guy we looked at, and he's like, it has a whole bunch. I was his muse, back like 400 or 500 years ago, and just this guy he looks like me. He's just I lived before in another 500 years ago.
This guy was a self-portrait. The painter did a self-portrait.
I don't think he's doing a self-portrait. I think that he was in love with this young boy, and there he goes.
Oh, that's beautiful.
In love with this young boy, smiling sweetly. And there it is.
Why do you have You have X's over your chest. This is great.
Notice that.
I used to do that 400 years ago, but now I don't do that anymore.
The original Walter O. Williams.
Electrical tape.
No nudity. You didn't want any nudity, so you
got Ribo O. Williams.
We like to welcome our first sponsor to the show, which is great. One Way Foods in Delhi. That's in Calgary for everybody listening in Calgary.
There it is.
Or the surrounding areas. Edmund, Chuck, if you're around, Saskatoon. If you guys go to Calgary and you're looking for some great food, fresh deli in there.
Hard-boiled egg, deli. It's an experience, man. And actually, they have a lot of great items, good prices, real good experience. Go in there.
Good prices.
If you're on your way to Mooseman, stop in.
Stop on in. And this is 1749 11th Avenue Southwest in the heart of Sonalta.
Calgary, downtown Calgary, right on.
If go into One Way Foods in Delhi and tell them the Winnipeggers sent you, and we'll get a 10% kickback on any of the hard-boiled eggs that you buy. So thank you, Tyler Thompson, proprietor. So go on down and have a great time. So we're actually making it into the big leagues now. We have a sponsor, which is great.
Yeah.
Now, Dave, are you working with some other sponsors too?
Yeah, I'm working on some stuff. We'll see what happens. If anybody
Okay,
wants to contact me, just figure me out and Google it, and you'll just Google me.
Well, because that used to be your job back in the day. Sorry, your job. In that, you, of course, the rule on Winnipeggers is we never pronounce the letter J. And you used to have a job in sales, so selling advertising, correct?
That's true. I sold some radio advertising. That's true. As a very young, scared salesman, forest green suit, flower tie. And I would go to, I worked at a radio station, and part of my account was Steinbach's auto division. And I would go to Steinbach, and, guys were smoking cigarettes at the desk table at that time period. And, it was intimidating. And I'd come in shaking, 22 years old. What do you want, kid? And what are your ratings? And we had the worst ratings. It was like I worked for WKRP of Cincinnati and Winnipeg. It was like just the worst rating ever. And I didn't even know what that was. It's like the company literally gave me a piece of paper that said, we cater to owners, managers, and professionals. And I made photocopies of it, and I just handed that to people. Like was my extent of a sales job. Could you read this? Do you have a minute or a second? Because it says we cater to managers, professionals. That's it. There was no stats. They weren't even allowing me to use their numbers because their numbers were so low. Anyway, that's probably another show, but I want to get too into it. But it was intimidating, and it was a good lesson for the young Spivak.
Good lesson. But today's episode, today's topic.
What is today's?
Today's topic is heroic moments. And this one was requested by Dave, and knowing you for 35 odd years,
Ryan, yep.
Not really considering to be much of a hero.
You're probably right. Like I probably helped like an elderly person at a light, maybe like across the road, or maybe I just thought about it because I like the idea of thinking of it made me feel good, but I've never stopped and fixed a tire. I did witness a car accident in Calgary a couple of years ago where a pregnant woman got rear-ended, just a small little fender bender. So I got out of my car.
Sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, so I got out of my car and I gave her my business card, and I said, if you need a witness, etc., just call me. I don't even know if this is a good story. I haven't thought this out, but I gave her my manager's at the company's business card by accident. And she started calling him, and he's like, what the hell, man? Some girl keeps calling me like about some car accident. I'm like, I don't know what you're talking about. And then finally it turned out. So when I tried to do good this one time, I actually gave the wrong car information to her anyway. But I mean, she was a nice pregnant lady, but I did have an experience. Funny enough, I had an experience this past summer. I was at the cabin, and I was there with my girlfriend, her son, and my dad, 80-year-old Roy Spivak, and in the cabin. Yeah, by Grand Beach. Yeah. And we're inside the cabin, and Steph says to me, my girlfriend screams, she says, oh my God, somebody just took off on the trike. Okay. And I own an old trike. It's an old 1985 125M base model ATC. It's in pretty good shape. I love the thing. It's the only thing that I don't owe money on. And that's important. That's a big deal. So that's where I'm at. Yeah. Some people have homes. I have this. If anybody wants to come, if anyone wants to take me out for Dinsky, this is all I own.
They could take you to One Way Foods in Delhi in Calgary.
Hard-boiled eggs. Yeah, excellent. And lots of stuff. They sell everything there. Go to that store. What a place. What a beautiful people that work there. What an experience.
All kinds.
So let me get back to my story. So I hear somebody just took off on the trike. Someone stole the trike, and I lose it because there are thefts out there. Okay. And I keep a BB gun up in the rafters above. You've seen it, Ryan, at the cabin. I pulled it out on Ryan before he thought it was real. It was scary, but I didn't pull it out on him. I just was like, hey, look, I'm going through some shit. I'm not going through anything.
You pulled it out on a couple of mice, I know.
Yeah, there it is. No, mine is an actual, it looks like a 45 or something. It looks like a real handgun, but that's
what is that?
Yeah.
That looks like a gun from Christmas Stories. This isn't.
Oh my God, I shot my eye out.
I don't have the gun here right now, but it looks like a handgun, like a thug would have. So I run through the kitchen. I kick over the patio door, and I got it in my hand, and I'm screaming, I'm going to blow your fucking head off. And I'm running and jumping off the deck in my socks. And I'm just running through the forest. And I can see the end of the tail lights of it going way up in the bush. My dad pushes Steph almost over and goes, I'm going too. It's like two crazy Spivaks chasing after some thief that stole the $150 trike. Anyway, it turns out it was my neighbor Glenn just playing tricks on me. But anyway, I was told I was a hero that night. Like Steph says, wow, you really, I didn't know you had it in you. And you really do. And I said to her, I go, well, when it matters, I do. I mean, if it happens in a parking lot and somebody, yells at you, I go, oh, have a nice day. I don't even get into it. But when it really matters, somebody touches your trike. If you're playing with your trike, you're playing with my life. Is that a saying?
Yeah, it should be.
Could be.
Don't mess with my trike.
Anyway, it's too bad you didn't have a picture of a trike to show. But anyway, it's an old three-wheeler. People know it's red.
I showed you the trike earlier, like 5 minutes ago. Weren't you watching?
I've been drinking all night. I don't know.
When I put up the picture, can you see it right next to you?
Oh, thank you. Yeah, that's a good one. That's me. That's my shadow taking the photo there. Oh, I love it. And you can see why I would risk my life. So anyway, Glenn came back and he was laughing, but he comes back into the trail and I'm running at him with a gun drawn. He's like, "What the hell?" And then we figured it out. But it was cool. It showed it, and it showed that I had some, like I was okay with that. I'm a hero.
I don't know if it really puts you in a heroic light. More of a prank, maybe. But I have.
Hey, let me tell a heroic story about Dave then, because you think Dave is a hero. That just shows that he has the capacity to be a hero. Sure, he almost shot one of his best friends at the lake,
and then
did stealing a $150 trike. But he is a hero, and I'll tell you this. I was thinking about this the other day because I could have told this story on maybe the cheap ass. We're going to do a cheap ass show for sure, talking about the cheap ass club. And then we've also talked a lot about ad-libbing and how we all grew up sort of ad-libbing music, and how like music was our such a big thing for us. And it was always ad-lib. We didn't just play covers. We always made up our own songs, and we had to ad-lib. So there's one time during the cheap ass club when I was living on Corridon Avenue, and we were going to cheap ass, and we kind of like, normally when we cheap ass it, we for people that don't know, cheap ass club is basically where we rent really bad horror movies, and there's a whole system where we try to make our money back. If the movie costs $5 to rent, this is back when you used to rent movies, you try to make your money back by certain cheap ass qualities. So this one night, normally we go drinking all night, and we end up going to Yumbo Video. It's actually Jumbo Video. Actually, it should be Yumbo Video, because we don't really pronounce our V's either, because we're half German. So Yumbo Video. But this one night we were just kind of like, it's getting late already. Should we go drinking and then do a cheap ass, or should we just do a cheap ass now because it's kind of getting late? And we said, you know what? Let's go out drinking for 1 hour, but let's drink as much as we can in 1 hour. So we went right next door. I used to live at this place called the Red Cactus, which was a bar. We all sat at the bar.
Oh, yeah.
And we ordered, there was like 5 of us, and we said, we'll get 5 Crown and Cokes. So we ordered, we got a 5 Crown and Cokes. As soon as he put them at the table, we said, we'll have another round. Before we even had a sip, we said, we'll have another round.
Yeah.
We downed those, so that by the time he put the other round down there, we said, we'll have another round. So we just kept drinking as fast as the guy can make them. That's how fast we were drinking these Crown and Cokes.
I think we actually said, let's give us a new round every 7 minutes until someone passes out. They give us a round every 10 minutes.
Oh my God. So here we are. We're starting to get really drunk, right? We're on a mission, right? And then all of a sudden, these 2 girls come up to Chris, and they're nice enough girls, but they're kind of talking, and they're like, "Oh, you're Chris Jericho. I know you, whatever." They're talking, and the rest of us kind of go over here, and we're not. And then Chris is like kind of stuck talking to these girls, and they were nice enough girls, but we're on a mission. We're drinking, right? And they keep talking, and then all of a sudden, Chris turns around, and this is Dave's heroic moment. He looks, and no one knows really what to do, but he looks at Dave and goes, "Dave, get these chicks away from me right now. Chris was being very nice. You're being very nice, trying to be really nice." And then you just look at Dave and go, "Dave, get these chicks out of here right now." And Dave, without thinking for a second, just as this is the live ad lib genius of Dave and his heroic moment, where all of a sudden he just turns around and goes, "Ay, ay, 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 for like a minute, and the girls are going,
I can't do that anymore. I would get tonsillitis, but that wasn't a note. We would always say that. Remember, it would be some
it
high,
was like a non-note. It was so high that only a dog could define what note it was. It's the most annoying note, and they were just holding their ears, going, "Oh my god, what is that?" And you finally stopped, and they took their fingers out of their ears, and they were about to start talking again, and you just looked at you didn't even look. You were just looking in the middle of nowhere. You're looking to like nothing, like away, and then all of a sudden you just start going again. And the girls left, and it was.
I think it was actually a big whole note, but I love how that is like.
I never would have thought of that. I never
Jim Carrey and Dumb and
but
Dumber.
it worked so well, and it saved the Cheap Ass Club. So that's another one of Dave's pseudo heroic moments.
and I also think like a hero. I just don't act on it. So there's always that too.
Well, that's the thing. And you did, as David Bowie said, you can be heroes even if it's just for one day. And I don't remember that sound effect, but it's a good one. It's a good one. I have a hero story as well. I was walking back from some party, probably in Trigwell Bay, former home of Rybo. And you could usually walk from my house to your house in like 15 minutes.
Probably less. 10.
Probably, right. So I'm walking home, and on the side of the road in somebody's front yard, there's a flipped over car.
A Fiero.
A what? A Fiero.
Fiero. Yeah.
So what year was that? 89, 88?
88, 89, yeah.
So I'm like 17, 18 years old. And I'm walking home, and I see this car flipped over, and I go in there, and there's somebody inside screaming, "Help!" Kind of like Dave in the water. Help! And it's a girl called Stacy Jennings.
Stacy Jennings.
Yenning.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Jennings. Stacy Jennings.
Stacy
Hold on
Yenning.
a second. Don't forget, never pronounce the letter J. Sorry, yay.
Just read it at the bottom. It's at the bottom there. You can see it says never pronounce the letter J. Also, the driver of the car and the owner of the car was Dwayne, and his last name
Kalodka?
Vodka. Yeah, rhymes with vodka.
Oh, okay, exactly. I had a pina colada. What was his name?
That's right.
Dwayne
Kolodka. Yeah.
Who was it?
Dwayne Kolodka.
It was Dwayne Kolodka.
It was, yeah.
That's the best name that was never the name of a drink that should be.
The Dwayne Kolodka?
No, the pina colada.
Oh, the pina colada.
He loves vodka, by the way. That's the guy that I told in last story about drinking those 4 cups of vodka at Dwayne Kolodka's. Call back.
I went over there, and it was like one of those movies where you have this like crazy strength. And not that I turned the car over or anything like that, but I basically dragged her out. And I remember it was super scary because the car was flipped over on its roof. And you don't know, like, is the gas dripping out like Mad Max? Is the whole fucking thing going to blow up or whatever? But I risked my life at 18 years old to pull out Stacy Jennings. And she was kind of hot, kind of cute at the time, right?
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah. Is she sensitive too? Everyone's sensitive nowadays. No one's watching.
Why don't you imitate her, Rybo? Imitate her.
And so, anyways, I pulled her out, and it was like I never even thought twice. Like I was a hero. And to this day, whenever I see her in Toronto, with her, she's a lesbian now, with all her friends, she always brings that story up. There you go. And Foster, who now works for Metallica and U2, Metallica and the Rolling Stones.
Right.
Because what was U2 not available? You had to go for just the 2 biggest bands in the world, not all 3. She like sets up their dressing rooms or whatever. She, every time I see her and Metallica's Chubbs, their security guard, they either call me prom date or hero. No, the rescuer. I'm either the rescuer or prom date. Because
prom date for Judy Duncan.
Judy Duncan, who's in this club of not club, but she's a lesbian in Toronto. Foster's there. Stacy Jennings is there. So I got nicknames with all the lesbians in Toronto.
That's awesome.
They think I'm just the hero.
Do you think the accident turned her into a lesbian?
Maybe. I thought I was being dashing, and maybe she didn't feel the same way.
It's because he had long hair. That's why.
Exactly. But it was like, listen, like that's the example of like, what do you do, right? Like, what do you do when the thing could have just blown up and killed me too.
You gotta save the life. You gotta save the life. Yeah.
I know, and that's the thing in this situation. You don't have time to think about what would I do in this situation. You just have to act, and you just either do it or you don't it, right?
So, yeah,
I would have pulled out like a little bit of the body. I know she was still alive. I don't mean like she was dead, but and then I'd run away, and then I'd like, oh God, I got to go back, and then I'd grab a little more, like just running a little bit, touching, pulling in. And then, so more damage would be done, but she'd still survive. So I would save a life, but it would take a little bit of time of me running back and forth and trying to figure that out. It'd be a lot of mania.
She might be handicapped, but she would have survived.
I still would have pulled her out eventually.
With the hero that rescued you out of the lake, which we discussed in our near-death experience.
Beautiful man.
With a beer.
I valued my life at $40. He wouldn't take my $40. I was like, he goes, I don't want your money. So you could take, how about 20? I started bringing the price down. Better for me. I'll give you $5. Okay. Let's call a day. I'm not that great of a person.
What do you think I'm worth? What am I worth? A toonie? Here's a toonie. There we go.
Take it.
Pina colada.
Pina coladas. I love how I put these pictures and these really fancy things at the bottom, and you notice them 10 minutes later. Yeah. I mean, I don't have any other heroic stories, but there must be some.
I got one.
Right.
I got another one. When I was I played in Kingston, Ontario with the Watchmen, and our sound engineer at the time. No, I shouldn't say sound engineer. Our stage tech at the time. Tim Sheffield, chef. He had like big mutton chops. Him and I ended up driving. I played a show with him on.
Isn't that the name? Sorry. Isn't that the name of the nannies who the nanny Fran worked for? It's like Mr. Sheffield, like that show, The Nanny. It was the Sheffields. It's just not a normal name. Yeah. Fran
Drescher. You're bringing that up on Winnipeggers?
Whatever. Next episode, we're talking about Elf. I don't give a shit.
Hey, Robert. Come on, mime is money.
Yeah. Hey, Willie, I'm
borrowing a pair of your pants.
All right. So, so the cheffer is there.
Okay. So anyway, I'll try to make this a short story, but I played a show with him on Wolf Island. He's a guitar player as well. And on the way home from Kingston, we stopped in at basically the Thousand Islands, which is a pretty cool place where it's basically Lake Ontario. You have half of the lake has people from the States there, and the other half has Canada. So there's all these islands. Either one of them, you see all the Canadian flag, and then you see like an American flag over here, and they're all right next to each other. It's really cool. So anyway, we stopped at this little place that he used to work at, and this guy used to run a yacht there. So we got on this yacht for free, and we drove around all the.
A yacht, or is it a jot? And you're just not pronouncing
it. Should we call it a jot? Should we pronounce our?
Hey, it's only fair. We don't pronounce J's or Y's. We flip them around. She was on a giant jot.
So I was on a giant yacht. and we went around, and it was great. We had a great time. Then we went back to this place to like eat dinner, and we were just kind of sitting on this outside patio, and it was super crazy windy, and we're sitting there, and my friend Chef likes to smoke a lot of weed, so we went and smoked a big fatty, and we were just high as a kite. And we walked back, and I was just sitting there kind of tripping balls, and it was so windy, and we're sitting out in this back patio. And we had these, these big umbrellas there, like these big patio umbrellas that they have on the tables and stuff like that. And all of a sudden, this huge gust of wind came, and it took this thing and went flying so fast out of the table, like not our table, but the table over the next one over, and flew past our table. And I just reflex, I just went and grabbed this thing and caught it. and I looked, and it was about this far away from a mother holding her baby.
Oh my God.
It was like this close, and it was just this thing shot like a rocket. It was so fast.
Holy
And I just went
shit.
whoosh, like that.
It was like a pole.
Though I grabbed
Yeah,
the
like
pole. I grabbed the pole, and the umbrella part was like this far away from
That thing,
the
and those things have like a spike on the end to put in the sand and stuff, right? Like,
yeah, it's
Yeah.
just well, it was the other
Wow.
end kind of thing, but they still have like
oh, the other end. No, but still,
but it's
this is-
heavy,
yeah.
man. This thing was like
Yeah.
probably like whatever, 20 pounds or something, 15, I don't know, 10 pounds, whatever. I didn't weigh it, but
It was probably a couple pounds. I couldn't lift it.
listen, I saved their life. That's all I gotta say.
The fact you weigh about 17 pounds is a pretty impressive feat.
Oh, I'm not, I was so high that maybe it was a cocktail umbrella and an ant. I'm not so this was a serious thing though. It was
Crazy. That takes the cake of the
That's
best
so ridiculous.
story.
all right. Well,
Yeah,
I'm the
you
hero. I
win.
guess, of the show.
You have the best heroic story goes to Ribo, brought to you by One Way Foods in Sonalta, Calgary.
What do you call it? Sonalta, Calgary?
Yeah,
I-
Sonalta, Calgary,
I
downtown
won an
Calgary.
episode. Woo!
Yeah.
Well, I
Take
mean,
that.
you can't follow that heroic story there.
Well, hey,
And I think-
we're winding down on this episode. Can I give a shout out to a couple fans here that have been sending us fan mail?
Get the fan mail, but read it out to them.
Well, I don't have it here, but I want to say happy birthday to Derek Lowen, who's been a big fan of our show. I believe he's a Winnipegger, I'm sure. Matt Sater for picking up on the Peter North reference last week. So keep it real, Matt Sater. Keep watching the internet there. Andrew and Brooke Willie. Andrew, for all the support and tweets. Brooke Willie, 40th birthday today. So happy birthday, Brooke. And of course, Tyler Thompson over at One Way Foods. So I just want to give a shout out to some of the people that have been corresponding with us here on the show.
And don't forget about Spooey memes.
Oh yeah, of course.
Up on the Twitter. You can check that out for some funny bits. And I actually have a letter here that you sent me that I saved, which was actually about 3 texts up from the 18 texts that you had. So you could have found this in 30 seconds like I did. Here it is. Tony Mariani. Wild. There I am watching. And it wasn't until I think episode 4 that I say to myself, I remember this guy, Dave, but from where? Where do we work together? Radio. That show is freaking hilarious. And your shit your pants story is the best. All good, working for myself, raising money, nonprofit is the living. Tony Mariani. So thanks Tony for watching our show as well and sending in fan mail.
Yeah, it's super cool. Keep the mails coming. We'll read them. We read them and we look at them, and sometimes, most of the time, I answer them.
Well, sometimes. Well, or in this case, I read them.
I send them to Chris at least, so they do get read. I'm not a big reader. I'm not really that much into it,
including what's going on during our show. All right, guys, it's another great episode of the Winnipeggers. If you have your own heroic stories, send them to us.
Yeah.
Send them to us at I am Jericho. Send them my Twitter, and I'll save them and read them out next week. Any comments about the Winnipeggers, any complaints, whatever. And don't forget to go to One Direction Food and Deli and Biltmore.
One Way Foods. One Direction Food and Deli.